Yeah, so I said that this whole thing started from your last when you did a stream about doing like an exclamation mark CSS, and exclamation mark other things. So we said that we're going to do an exclamation mark canvas, and we're going to do a canvas animation. So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to do some generative things using a lot of random, and then, as I said, we're going to take it back to CSS by implementing this canvas into Paint, Houdini Paint worklet.
Awesome. So I'm
Great.
excited for this. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. We'll be. I just really quick. I put links, and I'll put them again. But I put links to Amit's CodePen and Twitter in the chat already. So if you don't already follow Amit on either one of them, you should, because his CodePen is just full of insane things, and the Twitter is just, I guess, probably the best place to keep up with all the different stuff that you're up to.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff, not just work. I'm also doing a lot of workshops and talks and sessions in conferences and meetups all over. We just before we started, we said that it's nice to have all the in-person conferences are back now. So, yeah.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah. So where should we start? What would be the best?
So I did build a starter project. I sent you the link. Yeah. It's a starter project in CodePen. We are going to use projects and not pen, because later on, when we're going to implement this in as a Houdini template, we're gonna need another JavaScript file. So let's just start by looking what we already have. Let's get into the HTML. Yeah, so the HTML has nothing really special in it, just a button with a canvas button class. Yeah, this is the button, and a link to the script, to the index. The index right now has nothing, just comments. And the CSS, again, doesn't have anything special. Just if you go to the style CSS, you'll see that it only have things to center everything in the center, and in the button just have a padding and a cursor on it, just for the heck of it. Yeah, hey CSS. Yeah, so the JavaScript right now, as you see, the index.js doesn't have anything in it, but it has the instructions of what we do, what we need to do. So the first thing that we need to do, the idea is when you click the button, the canvas, we're going to see an animation. We're going to see an animation that is built on top of the canvas. Mm-hmm. So the first thing that we need to do is get the body and the button DOM elements. Let's do it now. Let's create a const.
I'm in read-only mode. I was trying to push enter and it wasn't letting me do it, and I was like, oh no. Why am I in read-only mode? Is it because
did you fork it? No, yeah, you need to fork it.
Aha. See, I don't use projects very often. There we go. Perfect.
There we go. So now let's create a const of the body. Yeah. Document, query selector, body, obviously.
Body. And
yep.
We need the button element as well. Does that have a class on it? Button.
You can select it according to the class. Button canvas, it's okay.
I don't have autocomplete on CodePen.
You can enable it. You can go to your settings and enable it right now.
Yeah, I might do that. Behavior?
I think it's on the...
Or is it processing? I might... it might be in my other settings, eh? Like let me just make sure this is saved. Because if we're writing a lot of JavaScript, I'm going to go nuts. Settings. I think it's in these settings.
Oh, yeah. And so there's... editor preferences.
Yeah. Just do auto complete. There it is.
Yep.
Perfect. Updated. So let's go back and refresh just in case, and that should make my life a little bit easier. So we do have a class on that, you said. Canvas
yes.
button. Perfect.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, BTN. I'm guessing.
Yeah. There we go. So now we have those elements. Now we need an event listener, just something that will happen when we click on the button. So let's add the button canvas, add event listener. You know what to do.
Whoops. Click.
And it's click, and we'll just write like new canvas. You don't have to do it.
So click, and then here just new. Canvas?
Yeah, new canvas. Yeah.
Canvas.
And now you just you don't need the parentheses, the last brackets. Yeah, that's it. Just close it. That's it. And now we'll create a new function, or like on click, create new canvas. Yeah, so create a function, new canvas, and that new canvas, this is the function that would run every time that somebody is going to click the button.
Right.
So the first thing that we need to do, we're going to need to do a few things inside of this function. We need to create the canvas, and we're going to give it a size and a random position. And you know what? Actually, and then we're going to need to draw on the canvas and then append the canvas on the body. But before we start, because we're going to do some generative things, we're going to need a couple of very simple utility functions.
Okay.
So let's go to the bottom of the index and create a very simple random function, like function random, and that function would return a random number between two numbers. So this would get two arguments, a min and a max, inside of the random.
So we need to take two numbers here. So
yeah, min and a max are A, B, okay.
Or min
and
max,
now
make it nice and
yeah,
clear.
and if you are working a lot with generative art, so there are a lot of utility libraries that gives you random numbers, better random numbers from different types. But this is very basic, and it's all we need for now. So it's very simple. All we need is a return, and what we need is the number is min plus, because we need from the min, math.random, and the math.random gives you back a number between 0 and 1. Yep. Random.
Yep.
Times max minus min, because this is the difference.
Right.
Okay. So this is a very simple random function that you give it a min and a max, and you get back a number somewhere in between. And we're going to have one more utility function, function random color, because we're going to paint a lot of things. We want to bring it back random colors. So again, return. When I work with random colors, I normally work with HSL. I think it's the most comfortable way to do it. So let's return an HSL string. You use template literal. Yeah, exactly.
HSL.
HSL and yeah, you can add
either one works, right?
Yeah, and let's have inside here, let's have a $sign and a curly braces. And here, let's bring a random number. We're going to use the random function, random, somewhere between 0 and 360. So we're going to get a very... Yes. So we're going to get a random hue somewhere around the circle. And let's have a saturation of, let's say, 100%, because we want colorful, and 75%. And you know what? If you already added an alpha, so let's have 0.75 alpha. I'm going to add some. Yeah, so now this function is going to give us back a random color every time. Cool. Yeah, so back to the main function, to the new
just
canvas.
Really fast. I guess if depending on what we wanted to do, like we could use the math random on even the different parts in here if you wanted to sort of play
absolutely.
Around with, yeah.
Let's say that you want to get a random color, but on a specific hue. So you can have the hue, like for example 200. So you get a bluish hue, and play around with the light, or play around with the saturation, whatever you want.
Cool.
You can play around with all four of them, but I normally it's better if you play with one of them. But
yeah,
normally
you're playing with everything, it gets a little bit more, but
yeah. So back to the main function, the new canvas. The first thing that we need to do, we're going to set two const of size, a const of width and a const of height.
Size. So we want a const width and a const height.
Yeah, let's do like, I don't know, 300 or 320, whatever you want. Perfect. 300, I think it's good. Yeah, 320. Actually, we do have a very small screen in the bottom there, so let's make it maybe like 250 or something.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And okay, so now let's create a new canvas. Let's make a const of canvas, which is document. No, inside of the new canvas function. Yeah. Document. No, const canvas equals document. Yeah,
Canvas.
because we're going to create a canvas element. We're
Mhm.
going to give that canvas all of that that data, all of these property. We're going to draw on that canvas, and then we're going to append that canvas on the body for a number of seconds, and then we're going to take it off the body.
Oh, cool.
So this
Okay.
is what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so document create element.
Create. Oh, you can't. All right, there we go. Create element.
And we're going to create, obviously, a canvas.
Canvas. Is it quotation marks? Yeah. Canvas.
Yep.
Perfect.
Exactly. So let's give that canvas a width and a height. We're going to do canvas width and canvas height.
Canvas width. Oh, width is equal to width, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Canvas height is equal to height. Perfect.
And we're going to give that canvas a class list just because it's going to be easier. So let's do a canvas class list of whatever class you want to give it.
Canvas. It's fine.
Yep. And well, if we already gave it a class, so let's go back to the CSS for a second, and we're going to create that class in the CSS. And what we need to give it in the CSS is just a position fixed, because I want to position it. I can theoretically make it position absolute, but let's make it position fixed. And the top and the left is we're going to randomize in a second. Okay. We're not going to do it inside the CSS. We're going to randomize it every time we create a canvas. We're going to randomize it in a new place.
Awesome. Cool.
Oh, yeah, but just for now, because I don't want it to cover the button, let's give it a z-index of -1, just for now.
Cool.
And that's it.
One question about our the HSL. Let me see. For both of these, actually, for the HSL and for the random, they're just asking, are we putting it outside? Like, are we putting it down here just for readability? Or is there another reason?
Because there are utility functions, so you can put them inside of the main function. But maybe if you have a bigger project, that would be in a different file altogether as a utility JavaScript.
Mm-hmm.
But just because now we're working in CodePen, and just put it in the bottom of the page. Again, now we're only making one function, but we are actually. Later on, we are going to make a new Houdini function, so we are going to use the same functions in both of them.
Right.
So this is why I put it outside of the other functions.
I also misunderstood their question, apparently. Sorry about that. That's from Dev Marcius. And also, there was a couple of subs. Sorry I missed them, but thank you for whoever the subs came from. I appreciate it. They were asking about the /, because just for anyone who's not sure, we have usually the one you're probably more familiar with is comma separated. These days, I don't know about Amit. For me, I don't know why, but I've completely switched over to using this syntax for my colors.
I'm the same way. I don't know why. It just seems more comfortable, more intuitive. For some reason, it's more CSS-y kind of way to write things. But it's the same thing. It's just different syntax about the backslash.
Perfect. Right.
Yeah. So
okay. So we have we have a width, we have a height, we have our canvas that's there. So now we want to...
And its position fixed. So what we need to do now is give it a top and a left. And I said we're going to give it a top and a left, randomized. So let's give it. Actually, it's canvas style top.
Oops. Style top.
Yeah, so it's equal to random, because we already have a random function, and we're going to give it somewhere between 0 and the end of the screen, the end of the viewport. So let's say you actually can use 100 VH.
Yeah.
No, but what I normally done, I just thought about 100 VH, but it's not good. Let's use window.innerWidth.
Width.
But remember, because the canvas already has its width, so we don't want it to be outside of the window. So we're going to do inner width minus width.
Okay. Because if not, the left side, or in this case, the top, if it could be all the way off. If
you did the top. The width is for the left.
Height. Yeah, height.
Yeah,
and then
the inner. It's also need to be the inner height of the window.
Right, and I guess we need pixels on that. Plus.
But it's need to be window.inner height, not inner width.
Oh yes, sorry.
And for the left, we're gonna do the same thing with the and for the left, we're gonna do the same thing with the with the width.
Left, and then here and here. I'm not used to the CodePen shortcuts. These are width, except this one is width.
Very good. Yeah, so now we have the canvas. And the canvas is placed randomly. And before we're gonna paint on it, let's append it to the body. So let's do body after, like in inside of the function.
Yep.
But after we care to the function right here, body, append child, canvas.
For the append child,
brackets,
Yeah.
and yeah, canvas, exactly.
Canvas.
And okay, so now we're appending the child, but we need to take it off of the DOM, off the body, in a few seconds. So let's create a set timeout function.
Do you want that in here, or are we doing
No,
that?
just a line below. A line below, like a line 20, yeah. So we're first appending, and then we're starting a set timeout function.
Set timeout.
Yeah, a simple function. Like use an error function.
Oh, yep. Sorry. What? Sorry. You want to do? This is where my Node.js comes in. Set timeout. And then whoopsie. So we're gonna do an arrow function.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. Oh, and inside of there, we're gonna do a body of remove child.
Body remove
dot
child.
remove child. Yeah.
Canvas.
And again, canvas. But we're gonna add a timeout. So in line 24, between them, we're gonna add a comma, and how many seconds you want? How many milliseconds actually you want? So like 3,000. It's 3 seconds. I think. Perfect. It's okay.
Sounds good to me.
So now, actually, we can actually see it. Let's go to the style for a second. Just let's give the canvas, just for now, a background color, whatever background color you want. Yeah, and if we save and run it now, no, you need to save and run. Oh, you did? You did.
Yep. I used the shortcut. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So every time you click on it, there's a button, a canvas that is created somewhere on the DOM, and 3 seconds later, it's taking off the DOM. So this is obviously just the skeleton. Now we need to paint, to draw something on the canvas. So now let's start the interesting thing. And actually, just before we're going to draw something, we're going to write something on the canvas.
Okay.
So everything we do, we're going to do it just before the body append child.
Yep.
And you do need to remember that a canvas, you actually draw things on them. So the order in which you draw things is the order in which you see them. So if I draw a circle and a circle on top of it, the order of the order that I draw them on, this is the order that they're going to be on the canvas. Okay. So there's no Z index. Once you draw it, that's it. It's there. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So let's start by just printing a text. And before we can do anything, we need to create a 2D context. So let's create another const, and we call it a CTX. CTX is just a shortcut for context. And it's equals to canvas get context 2D. So you need to think get context, and in brackets and print, and it give it a but in a thank you.
Perfect.
So this, you can think of the canvas as the frame, and the CTX is the plane, like the fabric on which you paint on. And those two are normally they're together, but you can move and rotate and translate this plane regardless to the canvas itself. We're going to see an example for it in a few minutes. Okay.
Cool.
But just remember that what you're painting on, you're not painting on the canvas. The canvas is just the frame. You're painting on the CTX, on the context of the canvas. So let's do next line and go to and do CTX dot fill text, because if you want to fill text, to draw text, so you do a CTX fill text. If we're gonna see in a second, you can Canvas is very similar to SVG in some ways. So like in SVG, you have a fill and a stroke. The same thing is in Canvas. You have a fill text and a stroke text. And the fill text is a function, and this function gets three arguments. The first one is the string, what we want to print. So let's print exclamation mark canvas or whatever you want. Yep. And the second is the x, the x and the y. So the x is the width divided by 2 because I want straight in the middle, and the width divided by 2, and the y is height divided by 2 because I want it to be right in the middle. Now, if you save and click on the canvas button now, you will probably see in the middle. Yeah, there's this little canvas, but it's not in the middle and it's too little, so we can actually change it. So before we're going to do the fill text, let's do a CTX of font, and this is, you can change the font, and it's equals to, and you can set the size and the font family. So not it's equals to.
Equals.
Yeah, equals, and in comma so let's say 40 pixels, and you can actually add like whatever font family name you want after that.
So we just do system UI for something simple. So it's like that, just all in one set of quotations?
Yeah.
Cool.
So now you can see that the font is bigger and you have a different font, but it's not in the middle, right? So just like CSS, we have CTX align text, which is we're going to be for center. Align
is it equals center,
and we have here's a bit different. We have a CTX. You saved it?
Maybe.
Oh, it's text align. Excuse me.
No problem. Text align. Text align. Perfect.
Those little differences. And the other thing is text baseline. We need text baseline equals to middle. So it's like vertical alignment. So so now when we save it and click, now it's right in the middle. Perfect. But this is fill. But actually, let's do the fill. Let's change the color to white. So how do I change the fill color to white? Before the fill, just like the fill text, we're going to do a CTX fill style, and we're going to equals to white, or so now it's white, but let's create a black border around it. So it's it's stroke text.
I was going to say fill stroke doesn't make sense.
Stroke text.
Stroke text.
And the same three. It's a function. It's like fill text.
It's like fill text, right?
Yeah, it's the same. You can actually copy the same three arguments from the fill text.
Right.
Yeah. And now, but I don't think that we can, just like we had a fill style, let's have a stroke style of black.
CTX.
The stroke style, on top. Before the stroke text.
That's okay. CTX stroke. Sorry, what was it?
Stroke text. Stroke style. Excuse me.
Style is equal to.
Let's do black.
Black. Oops.
And so now
can we set like a thickness?
Yeah. So there's a CTX of line width, and let's make it like a 4. I don't know.
Is it just 4?
No, it's a number. No, it's a number. Yeah.
4.
Just a number, not a string.
Oh, just a number. Perfect.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. So what else can we see? Okay, so this is the general idea of how do you write text in on Canvas. You can adjust the fonts, the alignments, the styles. There's everything. There's a fill and stroke. So if it's text, and later on we're going to see Rex and other things. Oh, you change the font. Great. So this is the text, and by the way, again, if you would move the fill text above the stroke, so it would first fill the the text and then put the stroke. So the stroke would be a lot thicker because the stroke is in the middle, just like in SVG.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we have a word, but let's draw something because the canvas is here to draw. So we're gonna start with simple things. First, by the way, I think that we can remove the pink background.
Perfect. Already looks better. There we go.
There we go. And I'm not following all of the chat questions.
Yeah, I'm just
sorry.
looking now to see if there was anything. Can we create a new line of text in the fill text? Oh, if you want like multiple lines of text, is there a way we can do that?
Just like SVG, there's no text wrap. You actually need to create two lines of
Right, okay. Two separate lines, yeah.
Yeah.
And someone saying
Sorry?
Oh, no, someone just saying JavaScript is something JavaScript is something I want to learn, but I'm afraid of it. And I can
JavaScript
totally
is so
relate.
great.
I've been right. I mean, I'm obviously much more comfortable in CSS, and JavaScript is one of those things where if somebody like Amit's walking me through it, I can sort of mostly figure it out. I know for me, JavaScript really started to click when I just started doing basic DOM manipulation. When you're just getting into like the theory of it all, and it's a little bit more theoretical. Once you start doing the DOM manipulation, all of a sudden you start realizing why you were learning all of that other stuff. But just doing very basic DOM manipulation, sometimes it's a nice way. It's not complex. You can do a lot of stuff with just a few lines of JavaScript.
And by the way, I think it's a good idea to just understand the basic of DOM manipulation before you go and use JavaScript frameworks that does all of this handling for you. I'm not saying don't use use frameworks, but understand what's happening behind the scenes of those frameworks, and to understand that you really do need to work with basic DOM manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So back to our canvas. So we saw all the text property, and let's talk about shapes. And obviously the basic shape that we have is a square, and a square is very easy to paint, to draw in canvas. Let's draw it beneath line 21, obviously, but above the text, because I want the text to be less, because I want the text to be on
order
top.
everything.
Yeah. So right here, let's draw a very simple rectangle. So it's a CTX.
Oops, 1 sec. I'm just going to comment so I know what I'm doing. Rectangle. CTX. Oops.
Yeah. And let's make a stroke. So it's stroke rect. And again, if we wanted to fill the rect, so it would be fill rect. Mm-hmm. Okay. And the stroke rect is a function, just like the stroke text, that gets 4 arguments. First is the x and the y.
Okay.
And the other is the width and the height.
That
okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So let's do x comma y comma size dot comma size, and we're gonna yep. And now let's go a line above it and create those variables by using the simple random function. So let's start with the size actually, because yeah, and let's have basic random a random number somewhere between 20 and 80, or maybe 20 to 70 because it's a bit small. I don't know. Yeah, yeah, and now let's do the x, const x. Now theoretically, we can do the x random from 0 to the width, but because there is also the size of the rect, so let's take it from like 40 to width minus 40. If it,
width minus 40.
Yeah. So do you understand why? Just we want to keep like a margin on both sides,
right?
And the const y is the same thing, only instead of width, we need the height.
Oops.
You forgot the equals.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So now, if we're gonna save it and click, we're gonna see that there is
I see it there. It's hard to see.
You see it because it's black.
Yeah.
So you can actually copy line 33. Line 33, but instead of black, just use the random color function that we already written.
Oh, right. What do we call that one again? Random color?
Random color.
Random color. Perfect. Random color.
And while you're at it, do also CTX line width. Let's do it also give it a random number, just for the heck of it, of somewhere, I don't know, like between 2 and 6 or between 2 and 7, just for the symmetry with the size. Yeah. So now if you save it, you can see that we have
look at that.
A different square. Now we want to make a few squares, so why don't you put this entire rectangle block inside a for loop?
Okay. Rectangle 4. Whoops. I'm
I know.
So used to writing SAS.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. So okay, 4, and then we'll just move this up. Okay.
Yeah, and let's I equals 0 and
I equals 0, and then we want to do I
less than 3.
3, perfect. And then I plus plus. So I guess this, like, whatever number you put here would be the potential for how many we're painting. Is that what it is?
Yeah. So now you will see 3 squares, and every time the square. What do you broke? Wait a minute. Oh, it's not comma. It's semicolons between them.
Oh, thank you. There we go.
Yeah. So now we see 3 squares, and this is nice.
Right. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, I see a problem because I see some of the squares are actually moving between them. Yeah, because we need to when you do the const x, so you need it to, it's somewhere between 40 and with minus 40, but you need to move it half of the size, because we're setting the top left corner, but we want to move it.
So yeah, it could be too far down. If the width is 70, then 30 pixels are sticking off the bottom.
So let's do the random minus size divided by 2. In line 25, in the end of line 25. No, after the So minus size divided by 2. Yeah. And the same thing in line 26, so now it's going to be much better.
Minus, and then this would be height. Size, no, same thing, size.
Yeah. So now all the squares are going to be in the same place, but I want to go a bit deeper, because what happens if I want to rotate these squares a bit? Now I can theoretically draw a path, and we're going to see a path in a few seconds, and I can draw a path of a square, but I don't have a way to rotate this square. As I said, this is not a dumb element. You're just painting a square. But what I can do, as I said earlier, I can take the fabric itself and rotate it, and then paint the square, and then rotate it back. Okay?
Oh, okay. I didn't know we could do that. Okay.
Yeah. So what we're going to do, just before after line 28.
Yep.
So we're going to do a few things. First of all, we're going to do CTX.Save, because as I said, I want to rotate it, and then I want to rotate it back, but I don't want to actually rotate it back. I just want to save this original state, and then I'm going to rotate it, and I'm going to restore it back to the original state, whatever it was. So a save is a function.
Is that just because we're running through the loop, it's sort of like it's going to rotate it, paint one of them, save that, and then rotate it again, so each one sort of gets its own angle because of that.
Exactly. Yeah, because we're gonna rotate it on a random angle every time.
Right.
But every time we're gonna rotate it, paint the square and restore it. Right. So CTX Save, and CTX Save is a function.
Okay.
Yeah. And after we did the save, we're gonna do CTX Rotate. And the rotate, the rotate in Canvas doesn't work in degrees. It works in radians.
Oh, okay.
Now here's where it's get a little bit complicated. if you go to converters, 180 degrees equals 1 pi radian.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So if I want to a random number like between 0 and 90 degrees, because it's a square, I have to only from 0 to 90. So so I need a random number between 0 and a half pi. So a pi times 0.5.
Okay. Oh, so we can do
Math dot pi.
pi.
Yeah, it's capitals
pi?
pi, yeah. Times
Times
yeah.
0.5, you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because again, 180 degrees is math pi. Okay, radians.
Yes.
That's the way it goes. So now we get a random number between 0 and a half a pi. So it means a random number between 0 and 90 degrees. So now we are rotating it, and after we're going to rotate, we're going to do CTX restore. Again, the restore is going to bring it back to the original angle.
That's just another function.
Yeah, exactly. Now, if you're going to see it now, you will probably see that it's kind of working, but not really. Oh, wait, why isn't it? Oh no, you need to the restore after the after the stroke correct.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Because we were restoring it before we painted
the
thing on it.
We didn't actually did anything yet.
Yeah.
So now you see that it's working, but kind of. You see that kind of some of the squares are moving away because the rotation point is always at the top left corner. Yeah. So from this side, it's this top left corner. So when it rotates, it's actually rotating outside the CTX. The plane is rotating outside of the frame. So what we need to do, and this is a bit complicated, we need to imagine it. We need to translate the plane, the CTX, the top left corner to the center. Then we're going to rotate it, gonna translate it back to the center of the canvas, to the center of the frame, and only then we're going to stroke direct.
Okay. I was hoping it was going to be like CSS where you just do transform origin and you're done, but no.
No,
same idea, we actually, but much more complicated.
Same idea. So, but we are going to do CTX translate. And again, I'm going to translate the top corner to the middle. So I'm going to translate it by width divided by 2, comma, height divided by 2. Exactly. Then we rotate, and then afterward, we're going to translate it back.
Do we translate it back after the paint?
No. After the rotate. We're translating, rotating it, translating it back to position, stroking the right, and then we're restoring it the right angle.
Yeah.
So it's CTX. You can actually copy line. It's width divided by -2. Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. So now I think if I haven't forgotten anything, it should actually work. Hey. Yeah. It's still coming a bit outside. Maybe we need to
rotate it?
Maybe we need to have the margins a bit bigger, like 50 or the inlines 25. Yeah, exactly. So this is basic squares, but with very deep CTX manipulation. You can actually do a lot of things. You can translate it, again, not just, by the way, on the X and Y axis. You can do whatever you want with it. You can rotate it, and it's very nice if you want to. Normally you use it actually with text, because sometimes you want to print text in different angles. So you would want to use this translate, rotate, translate back trick. This is the way you do it if you want to move it. You can't actually move the rotation, the transition, transform origins. I wish you could. So this is basic squares, but as I said, we want to draw something a bit more complicated, and the way to do it is by drawing paths. And by the way, there's questions. Are there any questions about squares?
No, just Mark Boots was just saying he came in a bit late, so he missed what the two functions at the bottom were. So I just scrolled down for him.
Oh, yeah. So this is the two, just very simple two random function, basic random and a random color. Yeah. So beneath the squares, but maybe inside of the for loop, let's draw a path, because again, as I said, we want to draw something even a bit more complicated than squares. So yeah, now we have squares. Let's draw path. You can after the restore.
After the restore, perfect.
Yeah. Here, let's draw a path. And when we draw a path in canvases, CTX, yeah, so as I said, when we want to draw a path on canvases, the first thing that we do is CTX begin path. So begin path is like everything we've done, it's a function. Everything we've done earlier, scratch it, and now we're beginning from scratch, from a new path. So just like SVG, when you write a path in SVG, what is the first letter that you write? Do you remember?
I haven't. Well, you're studying. Oh, M. Yes.
Yeah. So M is for move to. No. So let's go to the other line, to the next line. Next line. Yep. No. Close it. It's not. It's an empty function. Yeah. Next line. CTX.
CTX. Oops.
Move to.
CTX move to.
Yeah, so move to, this is the start, the beginning of a new path.
So you're moving to a certain point, you're setting that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's also a function that gets two arguments, an x and a y, and we can have a random x and a random y. So let's have a random anywhere from 0 to width, because it's an x, comma, random anywhere from 0 to height. So now we moved the path, the beginning point of the path, somewhere in the inside our canvas, whatever the size of our canvas is, doesn't really matter. Now let's copy this line again. Now if I'm going to copy it again like this, what's happened is we're just going to move the starting point to a different position. We're not going to draw a line.
Right.
If we do want to draw a line, instead of move to, let's just change the move to line to. So now I have a starting dot and a line to somewhere different. Let's copy it again. And now I have a second line. Okay, it's the third dot, but it's the second line.
We drew a line to here. Now we drew a line to another spot.
Exactly. And now let's say that I want to draw a triangle. So now I want to close it. Now, theoretically, I could have saved the move to, the initial x and y, as two different variables and then do a line to this x and y, but there's actually a much easier way. You can just do a CTX close path. Yeah, so now this is a path of a triangle, and if we want to draw this triangle, all we need to do is just do a CTX of a stroke. It's just strokes, not stroke something, not stroke text or stroke rect. Just stroke means that it's gonna stroke or fill, if we're gonna do a fill, this path. So it's also a function, an empty function, and but before that we can add the two random lines that we added to the circles, to the squares, line 27 and 28.
Yes.
Yeah, just for the randomness. And now, if we haven't forgot anything, and you're gonna.
So just before I hit save, just to make sure, we started our path. We move our magical pen, whatever, to a spot, random place. Draw two random lines. Close the path off, and then on that path, we're setting the style to a random color, setting a width to a random width between 2 and 7, and then the CTX stroke is taking all of that information and just painting it to the canvas.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's see. Hey, triangles. Cool.
Yeah. Now we have both squares and triangles. So again, it's just like you create a triangle. You can actually create any polygon that you want. Just line to line to line to, and whatever you want. This is very simple polygons. But what happens if we want to create something with a bit of arc in it? So it's a bit more complicated, and it's a bit more complicated than using SVG arcs, for example. But to understand how arcs work, let's draw a simple circle for before that. So here, let's do CTX begin path, because a circle, again, it's an arc and it's a path for everything. But we want to begin a new path. We want to forget about the triangle. And we're going to do a CTX of arc. This is what we want to do. And this function gets a few arguments. First of all, it's the x and the y. Now, the x and the y is the x and the y of the center of the circle that the arc is rotating around. Okay, so but here we can do it randomized. So let's do anything random from whatever you want. Let's do here also 40 to width minus 40. I think it's going to be nice. And the y is going to be a random of
with height.
Nice. Okay, now the third argument is the radius of this circle.
Right.
Okay, again, let's do just a random number between 10 and 40. I don't know, because we took 40 away. Yeah, that's okay. And the last two arguments is the beginning angle and the end angle of this arc. So the beginning angle. Now, if we want to draw an arc, so we need to know what is the starting angle and the end angle. This is why it's complicated, more complicated than SVG, for example, that do the calculation for you. You actually need to know what is the starting angle and the end angle. But here, just because we want to draw a circle, so the start angle is going to be 0. And the angle, as I said, it's 360 degrees, but you don't use degrees, you use radians. And so it's math pi times 2. Remember, 108 degrees is 1 pi, 2 pi is 360 degrees. So, now let's copy line 43, 4, and 5. Yep. And now I think we're going to have circles.
Yay!
We're going to have circles. Yeah, so this is where, again, drawing circles, it's obviously pretty simple. Putting it in an actual path, it's much difficult. But you can actually take, if you go to the triangles, let's just so we can see it. Let's comment out line 51 and line 43.
That one. This one? No, this one.
Not 43. 30. Let's.
We're taking out. What are we turning off?
The squares. I want to turn off the squares for a second.
Squares.
Yeah. The 34. 34. Excuse me. Not 43. 34.
Yep.
Yeah. So now all we have is the triangles, and let's add somewhere around line 40 CTX arc. Now we 40 or 41. CTX arc. So this is how you actually add an arc inside of a path that combines polygons. And again, let's do now just so we can see it. Just you can put hard-coded random numbers in there. So let's do 120, 120, somewhere in the middle of the and use 60 and give it like 1,3 or something like that, or you can use random numbers, whatever you want, just so we can see it. So now we have, like you see, we have lines, and you can actually change the loop for 1 just so we can see it just once. If you want to see it more clearer, here.
Oh, save.
Yeah, so you can you see like you have a line and random. It's not random actually. You can see that the arc is very constant, because this is the problem that when you work with arcs in Canvas, you really need to know what are the angles that you're working with. You probably going to use a lot of math if you are building path inside Canvas, or you're using some sort of generator, which makes everything much easier. But for now, I think you can remove that line and uncomment everything else. So we have seen the basic of text. We understand what stroke and fill is, how to change the stroke, how to change the fill, how to manipulate the CTX, the context itself outside of the canvas. You can move the loop back to 3, by the way, if you want.
Yeah, that's right. Just really fast, thank you very much, Mike, for the sub. 6 months now. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for dropping in.
So I think this is the general idea of a canvas. Yeah, it's about the time that I thought. But I do want to. This is all the basics, obviously, of using canvas. This is the options. But what you can take it and you can do whatever you want with them. And I sent you a few examples
Mm-hmm.
of things that you can do with canvas. And these are old projects of mine that I like. I let people like learn on. So this is the very first basic project that a lot of people are doing with canvas, which is vertical background.
Mm-hmm.
um, there's a lot of YouTube's tutorials about how to do it, but the general idea is that you have an array of dots, and each dot is a vector, so it has a direction and it
Mm-hmm.
has a force, a speed, and you move it according to that vector, and then just draw a lot of lines between each of the dots. So
Mm-hmm.
that's it, probably. But it's a very good exercise to start with. Another exercise that I like to bring is, yeah, thank you, this one. Whoa, it's moving very fast. Oh no, so this is something is not. Can you refresh this
Yep.
for a second?
Is it going too
Hmm.
fast?
It's no, it's going outside of the
Oh, outside of the frame.
screen.
I have
Yeah,
it.
and
Wait, what's?
it's weird.
I have another
Um,
one just off the screen. That's. Wait, what's? Let me pull this one in. That's fireworks too. That one looks like it's running a bit better.
bit. I don't know. Maybe you can. I can add
That's the
send
same. Oh wait,
the
that's the
link in the
same link.
chat.
Let me get the links again that you sent me.
Yeah,
Uh,
the concept of working with fireworks is just learning more things like not just vectors, but physics, gravity, or how to create great trails, light trails in Canvas. And there's a lot of things that you can do working trying to create good fireworks. I have a lot of fireworks type projects over the years. But maybe I'll send the link for this one later on,
mm-hmm.
because normally it shows better. The third one is
I
one I
was just
like
looking.
very, very much.
The links I have, the last three are the same link.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm not the only.
Yeah.
I when I went to share the link to for Amit to join this morning, I sent him a link to one of my YouTube videos. So we're we're on a roll with that.
Yeah.
I'm just
Where is
gonna.
it? Oh, yeah. So this one. Because so this one I think you're gonna like it. Um. Oh, the chat is over here. Yep. It's the same chat. So this is the third one that I think you're gonna like it.
Perfect.
Again, each one of the dots that you're gonna see here, not yeah. So each one of the dots is a node, and when you move the mouse, you can
Let me
actually
put
you
this in the chat.
control these nodes. So this is a very good exercise if you want to control the canvas using mouse manipulation.
Mm,
So this is a very, very good exercise that you can use. And the last one is really old, a favorite of mine. But this is a good example of really taking Canvas to the next level, because what I'm doing here is actually manipulating the canvas on a math level. So I'm taking, if you go to the code down way down in the canvas, I'm turning the canvas into an array. I'm taking the image data. You can see CTX image data right in the bottom of the screen.
oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So I'm actually taking all the data of the canvas as an array of numbers, and each pixels has a red, green, blue, and alpha number, and I manipulate
Oh wow.
this array and puts this array back in the image you see in line 93. So this is like heavy duty canvas manipulation, but this is the things that you can do using canvas, and this is why canvas is great. So back to our little thing.
Oh, where did I
So
put it?
now
Okay,
that
good.
we have a canvas,
Yes.
let's control this canvas using CSS. And we're going to create a Houdini template.
Awesome.
So first of all, let's go
Just
back to the
I'll
yeah.
interrupt just really quickly. Houdini has been something I've had like a fair amount of people asking me about, and I'm always just like, it's, as the name implies, it's magic. I have no idea. So I'm glad that we finally get to dive in and do a little bit with it, because I've
So
done basically zero.
when you are on Chrome, right? You're not
Yes,
on
yes.
Firefox right now. Yeah. So okay. So here's the thing. Houdini is actually like a cover name for a set of APIs that uses that exposes the engine of CSS through some JavaScript, and there's a whole set of APIs. We're gonna see 1.5 right today. Not all of them are supported. Only 3 are actually kind of supported in Chrome and others in others. Which is the Paint API, the Property API, the custom Property API, and the Type2M API. And we're not going to talk about Type2M today, but we are going to see some example for the at property, which is the property API, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna actually create a Paint worklet, and later on maybe we're gonna, if we have time, we're gonna implement some of other people Paint worklets, because
Cool.
that's how easy it is. Yeah. So where to start? Let's start in the beginning. Let's start in the HTML. And what we actually just need to do is to add another button, because I want one button for the canvas and one for the Houdini. But we need to wrap them inside a div, because the body is yeah.
Do I call this one Houdini button? Houdini.
Yeah. And I think the CSS needs to be. Oh, the CSS, okay. Excuse me. Yeah. Okay, so now let's go to the JavaScript. We also need to create, just like we create an on-click for the button canvas. Yeah. The beginning will be a lot of copy paste, because it's the same principle. No, it's not Houdini canvas. You can actually, but
we don't need to. I'm just.
Button Houdini, it's gonna be fine. You said button canvas.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I see. Yep. Button. I switched the wrong part on it. Button Houdini. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. And let's add an event listener for the button Houdini. And instead of new canvas, we'll create a new Houdini, I think. Nothing.
Button. Perfect. Okay. Now, so we just go all the way down?
No. Line 8.
Line 8.
We're going to create new Houdini, not new canvas.
Oh, right. So here, do we keep all of this? Yeah, that's all.
Yeah. But on line 8 in the
on
line
Houdini.
8.
New.
Yeah.
Thank you, Houdini. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So now we're gonna need. Let's create a function, new Houdini.
New Houdini.
Yeah. And that function is the beginning is going to be very similar, kind of similar to the new canvas. We're going to create. We're not going to create a canvas, but we are going to create a new div, because the whole concept of Houdini, of the Paint API, is taking a regular div, just any old div, and having a background image that is a canvas. The Paint API just render a canvas to a background image.
Okay.
This is, and it's great, and but it's more than that, because it renders it live, and you can control that render with custom properties, and it uses the size of the div and much more. We're going to see everything. So in the new Houdini, let's create a const of div.
Const div.
Yeah, document create element div, and we're not going to give it. We can give it a size, but we can give it the size in the CSS. So let's not give it a size, but we will give it a class. So let's do the class list of whatever you want.
Houdini, since I think we did canvas for the last one.
Yeah, and so if you give it a class list, so let's go for a second to the CSS and create that class. Yeah, just like the canvas. It's actually kind of the same thing, because we need a position fixed. For now, we're going to add a z index, but we are going to need one more thing. We're going to add the width and the height right here in the CSS, because it's a div. It's a regular div.
And height. How big do you want to go? Same as.
Yeah, let's do the same. We're gonna animate it later on, so it doesn't really matter. Let's start with 250.
Perfect. Save.
Yeah, and back to the JavaScript. Yep. Oh, this was not supposed to happen. Excuse me. I'm accidentally closed something here.
I just see a question about if there's something someone came in a bit late, but I'll share the finished CodePens or since it's project, but I'll share the finished versions of it once they're done for anyone who showed up a bit late.
Okay, and what we do need to do for that div is just like we did for that canvas. We want to give it a left and a top of random. You can actually copy the.
We can copy it.
Yeah, exactly. Line 28.
We don't need that. 20. Yeah.
No, 28, 29.
Yeah.
Only we don't have a width and a height here, so let's just for now let's give it a hardcode numbers 250 for now. Okay, it's gonna be okay. No, yeah. Yep. So that's it. The last thing we need to do is just like we did for the canvas. You can actually copy it. We need to append it to the body and then remove it from the body. Yeah. So it's.
Where did we do that?
No. Down,
All the way at the bottom.
All the way. Yeah, here we go. 79 and yep. Only instead of canvas, we need the div.
Div.
Yeah, and so now if I'm gonna click the Houdini button, there's gonna be a div. I'm not. Maybe you can add a background. Yeah, maybe you can add a background color of pink just so we can see it.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Okay. So now we need to paint on it. So let's go to the CSS and we'll give it a background image. Background image
for now, just in case.
Yeah, you can if you want. And the background image is going to be a paint function, and we're going to add a paint function in a second. Paint.
All right, paint here.
Yeah, a function. And inside the function, we're going to give it the name. So whatever name you want to give it. But inside not inside the quotes, just the name. You can foo.
Perfect.
Yeah. So this is how you call a paint worklet. Right now, the CSS doesn't know what paint foo is, but we're going to create this paint function and then we're going to call it to the CSS. So let's start. Let's actually start by creating a new worklet. We're going to create a new file, a new JavaScript file. There's a button. Yeah.
Create new file.
Yeah.
How do I name it? Oh, I did it here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just call it worklet.js.
Perfect.
Okay, and that worklet is it's gonna be a bit complicated. But first, before we're gonna start work on that worklet, you need to know that this worklet is not just another JavaScript file that is part of the of your page, of the normal load page. So like it doesn't share the same functions and the same variables.
Okay.
But we are going to use inside of the worklet those same two utility functions that I have used in the other other index. So we need to copy them. Okay. Again, yes, it is a bit dirty to copy it because it's not the way it's supposed to be, but just for an example, for now, we're hard copying it inside of this file, okay?
Okay.
But what the worklet actually need to have is just one function that is called register paint. And this function has two arguments. One is the name that you've written.
Foo? Is it a string or is it just, yeah?
Yeah, no, it's a string. Perfect. Yeah. And the second is a class. You just write a class, yeah, with curly braces. Yep. And inside of it, we have the paint function. So let's write paint. Okay, and this paint gets 3 arguments. One is the CTX, the same CTX that we used to work, that we worked on up until now inside the canvas. Now here we have a CTX. It's a bit different, and I'm going to talk about that different in a second. The second argument is the size. And out of this size, we're going to get the width and the height that we of the actual value, the width and the size that we set in the CSS. So when we animate it, this size actually changes. And the last thing is the props, and we're going to talk about props in a few seconds. So this now, no, there's open curly braces.
Whoops. Yeah.
Yeah. So everything we're going to do inside of here, it's gonna, this is the what we're drawing, this is the paint of Foo, okay, of what we're gonna see in the background of the of our element, of our DOM element. So what we can do, well, first let's do a const and open the curly braces and width, comma height. We're actually going to extract the size out to width and height because we need them. And equals size.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So we're actually destructing the size, the width and the height out of the size. And now let's go to the index and let's copy the entire for loop, the for that draws all the things. Let's draw them inside of let's draw it inside the paint function. Everything from the from here. Yeah, but not the text. And here we go. Why not the text? No. Yeah, up until line. No, go down. Up until line 76, 70. Yeah, exactly. So this we need to copy inside right here exactly. So why not the text? The paint render context 2D is not the same as the canvas rendering context 2D. It's a subset, but it doesn't have a few things like the canvas text and the canvas text drawing styles API. Okay. So you can't actually print text on a canvas that is working on a paint. So there's 2 ways, because I do want the word Houdini inside. If we want the word Houdini inside of that, so we can either use a pseudo class and use the context, the content attribute, or we can just use inside of in the JavaScript, we can just add a div inner text and put the text in there. Whatever you feel more comfortable with.
They're both. I'm okay with either one.
Okay, so let's go to index.js, just so we can add inside of the canvas, the inside new Houdini right here. Let's do a div inner text.
Yeah, div inner text is equal to
of Houdini. Yeah. So let's save everything. Oh, okay. So if I click Houdini right now, so you won't see anything. You just see the word Houdini, obviously. And you can. We should use CSS to center the Houdini and make it the proper size and the proper color. I think that you're better at this than me.
Font family, whatever, system UI again, and text align, or we'll just do display.
Let's do
grid align items. No, place items. Place whatever. That should work too. Center.
Place items.
It should work too. There we go.
It should work too. If we it's white, but if we do want to add a black counter to the text, so the easiest way is to use the box shadow, the text shadow workaround, because I can send you if you want the line of code.
Sure.
Yeah, it's right there in the chat. Yeah. So what it does just creates 4 shadows of black around it.
One offset in each direction, right?
Yeah, 1 pixel offset in each direction. And you can play around with the offset if you want, but just did
fine.
one.
Perfect.
Okay, so now let's go to the index.js is already saved. The worklet is already finished because the worklet is everything we need. But what we need to do, the last thing, is to actually call the paint from our JavaScript, to call the worklet from our JavaScript. So let's go to the index, and somewhere in the index, maybe in the bottom, in the index.js, I mean, we're going to add an async function, because calling a paint is an async call. So we're going to do an async arrow function.
Mm-hmm. So async, async.
You need brackets before that, I think.
Oh yeah, sorry. Async.
Yeah.
Yes, there we go. Sorry.
Yeah, and inside here, so what we're going to do is we're going to write CSS. So CSS, this is the new object that Houdini added. So you can add CSS, all capital CSS. Yeah, and by the way, if you want to, at one point, just do console log CSS, and you would see this object, and you would see what it. Don't do it now, but you can do it. And you will see this object, and you will see what this object actually contains. It contains a lot of information on CSS, unit measures, and a lot of other things like paint worklet. And this is what we're going to write now. So css.paint worklet dot add model. So we're actually going to adding a model, and we're going to open brackets, and inside of it we're going to call the. I think that if you put the right click on the worklet.js, you can copy the.
Oops.
No, on the left bar. Yeah, I think you can copy the relative. Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Whoops, that didn't work. Copy relative path.
But you need to put it in quotes. Yeah. And yeah, just close the. Oh, it's closed. And yeah, so the last thing, just call this function. You're gonna need to add brackets in the end. At line 107, at the end of line 107.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now what we're doing here is we're going to creating a new CSS paint worklet by adding a module of that worklet that we've just created. So if we haven't forget anything, when you click Houdini right now.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
It worked. Cool. Let's
So,
get off our pink background then.
Let's get on. Yeah, so no?
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So when you click on canvas, you actually render a canvas that is a canvas object. When you click on Houdini, you render a div, a regular div that the canvas is rendered to the background image. But here is where it gets much better, because you can actually control everything using this CSS. So let's get back to the worklet.
Mm-hmm.
And you remember I said that the last thing in the paint is the props, right? So
yes.
We can actually, the props is just a list of custom property that this property have. So let's, in this worklet, just above the paint, we'll add an input property function. Yeah, right here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a static. Let's write static, because it's a static function, and get static space get. And it's called input properties. Properties. It's a function, and this function returns an array, and this is just an array of custom properties. So right now we don't have any custom properties, but let's do one. We'll call it count. So add the quotes and count. And if I have a second one, so after the quotes I will have a comma and a second one, and if I have more, exactly. So if I have more variables,
right,
exactly. So now inside of the paint, first let's go to the CSS and put this this variable. Go to the style CSS and in the Houdini, inside Houdini, let's do a count, and let's say that it's equals to I don't know, 4, 3, 2, whatever you want.
Perfect.
And now back to the worklet. Inside the paint, beneath the const of this width and height, let's create another const. We'll call it a count. And we want to get this prop, so we're doing props.get, because I said this is a get function. Okay, and we're just calling the count. So inside the quotes, yeah.
Perfect.
With the two.
Okay, perfect.
Okay,
Yep.
so now I have a variable of count, and I can use this variable inside of the for loop, for example.
Right.
I can.
So
instead of 3, yeah. So now let's change this to count. Okay, and when you save it, so now obviously if the count is 3, so now it's 4. But if you change the CSS, if you change the CSS,
make it 1.
yeah, so now it's going to be just 1.
Yeah.
So you can actually control the way the canvas renders its data by using CSS variables, CSS custom properties. And the nice thing is that you can now, if you're already using Houdini, you can actually animate custom properties by using the add properties. Yeah. So let's just see it in action. Let's create an add property right on top, or wherever you want.
Does add property or can you declare them anywhere?
I think I think so, but I always declare them on top. I don't know why.
I think it's standard practice.
So add property account and open curly braces. Dash count.
Dash count, right.
So the syntax is going to be a number, because I just want a simple number.
Is it quotation or no?
Yeah, boot quotation, but with bigger than, less than, before the number. The number is inside of how do you call it? Less than, bigger than.
Oh,
greater than.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also quotes.
Okay, there we go. And then here is number.
Yeah.
Aha, there we go.
Okay, and you can have add an inherit false if you want to, and in let's have an initial value of, let's say initial value of 1.
Is it initial?
Initial.
Is it value like this? Or is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just wasn't sure if it would go like the JavaScript
no
value.
Initial. Yeah. Let's say of 1 for now. Okay. So now we can go back to the Houdini class and create an animation prop of whatever you want.
Animation.
Yeah. No. Animation.
Like animation.
Create an animation.
Animation. Yes.
Yeah. Call it whatever you want. Let's say, I don't know, 3 seconds. That's
let's just say, I'll just call it Houdini. Houdini, 3 seconds.
Yeah, I think I don't think that you need actually anything else for now, because just 3, and you can actually now create keyframes for Houdini. All you need is just 2.
2.
Yeah, and now you can actually set the count to a different number. So now, So now when you click on it, it's actually going to animate, but it's animate games. It's click.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, but the nice thing is, actually, I think it's too fast to see it. But when it starts, it only starts with 1 shape, and as it gets as time progresses, it gets more shapes, because the count number actually exceeds. Another thing that you can do, and this is the nice thing, instead of count, change the width to, let's say, 500 pixels. So the nice thing here, when you click Houdini, now it's becoming more wider, and you can see that the shapes are also wider, because the width and the height are rendered live inside of the worklet, because we take the width and the size from the actual div. So it's nice that you can actually control a canvas by just using a regular div, and it's everything very responsive. You control it through the CSS, and you can render everything according to what is actually happening inside of that div. So I think it's great. So this is I think it's the basic principles. The last thing that I want to do, it's not the last thing, but the last thing in Houdini is use somebody else's worklet.
Yep.
So you can just go to, I think the best place right now is Houdini now. Houdini how, excuse me.
Houdini how?
How. Houdini.how, yeah, exactly. So it's a if you don't know it, it's just a compilation of a great animation API worklet, and you can actually take each one of them and use them exactly like we did, and we can still see how easy it is. So let's just pick any one you want. I think this one by Bramos is great,
Yeah,
but again, anyone you want.
Yeah, it looks cool, and it's fun
Yeah.
that you can just like, ooh, that's cool.
Yeah. So
okay.
what you need to do is just copy all of the variables, all of this. Just copy it, and go to our CSS. Yep. Here, you can. Okay.
I was hoping
We need to. Yeah. But we need to put it
oh.
inside of the Houdini class. We don't need it into the demo.
Right. Let me just do really fast just to clean it up.
Yep.
I'm missing a few values. That goes there. You go here. Oh, no, you don't. You go here. What am I missing? Oh, the colors. Is there a way to copy the values? No way.
Just write black.
Yeah, black for both of them. Black.
Yeah. And again, but everything that is now inside the demo class.
Houdini.
Yeah. You already have it in Houdini class.
Oh, right. Oh,
yeah.
wait. So demo, and then the paint. Am I changing?
No. Just
do it
put just put everything from line 53 to line 60 inside the Houdini class.
Right.
Yeah. And we don't need the background image in line 43. We don't need the animation.
That can go away. The animation can go away.
And we don't need the count variable on top. Yep. Yeah, so that's it. You actually implemented it. Oh, the last thing that you need to do, we need to do one more thing. Let's go back to the Houdini now. How? The CDN link, it's a link. So copy the link address. No, copy the link address. Yep. And
yeah, I got that. Right. Yep.
Okay. So in our JavaScript, where we call the worklet, we now instead of worklet.js, yeah, exactly. That's it. Save, run.
Cool.
Yeah. So you see, this is how easy it is. It took us literally 2 minutes, and if you know how to do it, it's taking you 30 seconds less to implement anything you want. And this is CSS. This is just plain CSS. You can take each one of those variables. You can animate them. You can use media queries for them and everything you want. It's so easy.
And I guess here, like, because all of these are coming in as custom properties, it's super I want to change the colors of it. I put red in my CSS, and now one of those will have red coming in. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. And with all of the new red color function that we're gonna have, so things like that's gonna be like such fun to play around with. So again, the possibilities are pretty much endless. Using Canvas is great. Using Canvas with CSS is even better. But it's not in production mode, I think, just yet. But using Canvas is still pretty great.
Can we just get
there's actually a website called Is Houdini Ready that I think is a bit better.
Is Houdini ready?
Is Houdini ready yet? Yeah. So as you see, only the Paint API, the Properties API, and the Type2OM is actually supported, but it's also kind of supported because the Properties and the Type2OM is still in working draft. So, but it's okay. It's on its way.
That at least just the Paint API is really cool. That it's nice that all of these things are on the way.
And there are examples for people that are using Paint API in production. CSS Tricks, for example. If you go to CSS Tricks, the header and the footer are templates. Paint APIs if you go to the footer,
yeah,
so
you can see the
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So, but if you go to CSS tricks from Firefox, you won't see it, because it's just the fallback for just a normal color, which is okay. So you can use it. You can use it if you have a proper
Like
background. But by the way, I do have to mention the person who done this that worklet. You can see that worklet in Houdini how it's George Francis, and he's
post
also
look
like yeah, and he's also like a pretty master in everything that is generative. If you
there it is.
really want to learn more about generative, learn about go to see George's works. I can, if you see here in I have two pictures right here. Those are two original George Francis creations.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, he's got great job. Yeah, so I think I'm looking at my notes. I think everything that I wanted to say, I've said.
Awesome. I'm just looking at the chat really quick. Is my volume low? People have mentioned something, or is it? I don't know. But it's a little late now to be mentioning it. So I wasn't doing much of the talking though, so it works out if my volume was low. I haven't touched any of my own settings, so if my volume was a little bit low, I do apologize.
I hear just fine.
I'll turn it up a little bit on my end, but sorry if it was a bit low. I'm just seeing. I don't see anything else really coming up. So okay, yeah. If anybody does have any questions, let us know, and or while we're still here. And yeah, and for me not, I really enjoyed that. Definitely out of my comfort zone for a lot of the stuff we were doing, but I do remember playing with Canvas like back a long time ago. I was bored at one point. I wanted something to work on, and so like this sort of reminded me of a lot of the stuff I was doing at the time, though I wasn't doing anything generative with it. I don't even remember what I did. I did one of those like basic ones where you could like make your own painting thing, but I did something else with it too.
But I think I know that you feel like you're out of your comfortable zone, but it's just playing with Canvas. It's just like playing with CSS. You can't really go wrong. It's Canvas. Just paint thing on that. And I think that you should practice. I have a lot of Canvas projects that it's just practice, just me drawing circles and me just doing dots, and do the exercise that I talked about, that particle backgrounds and fireworks and so on, and because it will give you more confident to work with Canvas, and working with Canvas is great. Is you can really understand what's happening there, and you can really create great things and great animations. It's maybe not the best performance for a lot of things, but for some things it's just great. Yeah, so and you said if you have questions while we're here, great. If not, so you always know how to get me. I'm always happy to answer questions and to talk about anything front end related. Best place to get me is on Twitter.
Yes, which I'm putting. It's just the link to his Twitter has just been put back in the chat. As the Noobtacular said, you never learn if you don't go to your comfort zone. And it's exactly that. Mark Boots did say he was having trouble with the @ property, which we were just looking at here. So, whoops, I closed the file. For anyone who, this is like part of Houdini where it's for custom properties, but one of the issues with custom properties, and I played with it when I first heard about it, just because it opens up the possibility of things we couldn't do before. The most obvious one for me was animating backgrounds, like gradients, so you can change the colors.
For me, it does. It's one of those very small things, because that's it. This is all it does. You can just you're just telling the browser that a certain property has the certain syntax, and so now the browser can now animate this property. So it doesn't look like a big difference, but it's a huge difference. Like you said, in background images, it makes a lot of differences, but it also helps us when we work with transforms, because transforms is also a set of functions, and if you want to animate the specific functions in specific time in different time frames, you can't. But now you can, because you just give each one of them a custom property, and you animate the custom properties, and that's it. And it does makes a lot of things so much easier. You can animate hues, for example, things that you couldn't do before that. And there's a lot of examples that you can actually do with this little difference, just because now you can animate custom properties.
And yeah, just asking about that's the one issue with this, because I have got asked a lot just on this to do YouTube videos, and I said I'm waiting for browser support to get a bit better. It's mostly Firefox right now, actually, that seems to be the only one who's not actively developing it.
Yeah, and it's not going to be anytime soon, so don't wait too much.
But with Safari working on it now, I'll start looking at it a little bit, because yeah, just for some of this, because I think one of the nice things with some of this, like we were looking at, like we did quite a bit. You can sort of start small and do very small things, and then level your way up to start doing sort of these more interesting things and other stuff. And I definitely think looking at something like this, it's like understanding how Houdini works, playing with it on your own, creating your own worklet. But then once you've done that, and then people have made all of these that you can sort of manipulate and play with, I think that's really, really cool. How easy it is to integrate them.
And you can, by the way, absolutely go to the link itself, to the demo, to the npm link, and you can actually look at what they done. The code is there, so you can see it and learn from it. And the people that added the worklets to the Houdini How are mostly, all of them are great developers. I think I know like pretty much most of them personally, so they're great people.
Yeah, it's a good list of who's who.
A good place to learn. Yeah. And by the way, this is Houdini How, and you can also learn from Houdini Now. Houdini Now is, if I'm not mistaken.
Oops, is it Houdini Not Now? I never know what's available now when it comes to.
Oh, it's not now. Oh, how do you call it? It's not Houdini Now.
Houdini.
Maybe it's not working anymore. Never mind. Forget about it.
That's all right.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. So thank you so much for coming and exploring that with me. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Yeah. Can I? What?
I was going to say there's one final question about B1's asking when you're going to start streaming on your own.
I don't know. But I'm doing enough. I'm doing a lot of online content. Yeah, and I also started a new job, so it's not the best time, but it never is the best time. So maybe I don't know. Yeah. But if you want, I am doing another meetup tomorrow. Again, something very different. I'm doing about CSS. How to do CSS animations and stay performant and accessible. Nice. Yeah, because it is a very subject that comes up a lot when I'm doing CSS animations. Is what about performance? What about accessibility? And I always say that you don't need to give up not performance, and definitely not accessibility. If you want to do animations, you can do it and still stay performant and still stay accessible. So I'm going to do a whole meetup about it tomorrow. And in the end of the month, there's this my workshop that if you haven't signed up and you really want to do a deep dive into 3D and CSS, this is the place for you.
The meetup tomorrow is on LogRocket?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You want me to send the link?
I just found it. I just put it in the chat.
Okay.
And the other one is, I was looking through, I'm going to find it. That's the one at Smashing, correct?
Yeah, I'm doing it with Smashing Magazine.
I'll put both of those in there. So if you want more animation goodness from Amit,
thank you.
It's the good places to find it. And always, again, I'll put his Twitter in there once again for anyone who hasn't followed yet, just because definitely worth giving a follow. And I guess that's where, if they want to keep up to date with all the different talks and stuff you're doing, that's the best place.
Yeah.
So yeah, and someone saying you should write a book.
Writing an article is hard enough.
It's hard enough, I know.
Yeah, I have written a few articles, but writing it's much more hard, and like talking about something
Mm-hmm.
or preparing a lecture or even a workshop for me.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Writing is it takes. I find if I'm when you're doing something, when you have a little like, oh, you made a little typo, you're fixing it live, it's fine. When you're doing like something that's, even if it's a blog post that can be edited like fixed afterwards, I find I just spend so much more time working on it than I do something I'm just talking my way
Yeah,
through. It's crazy.
absolutely.
But yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on once again. You're always invited back if ever you have any ideas or anything. So feel
Yeah,
free
so
to
I'll
get
be
in
back
touch.
next week, and I'm joking. Yeah, I'm always happy to be here. It's great.
And for everyone else, welcome back. I'm probably going to be around most Mondays. I don't know about next week because I think it's a long weekend here for some reason. I don't know what the holiday is. I could be wrong. And maybe it's the week. I don't know. I was looking at my calendar and I was like, oh, I think. But anyway, if Monday's off, I don't know. I might be, but I'll be more regularly streaming once again, starting now ish. So maybe if I don't do Monday, I'll do Tuesday. We'll see. I'll post on Twitter and stuff
Uh,
when I
I can
know.
say in the name of the chat that we're all we love your streams and we miss them.
So yeah, that we'll be start slowly ramping back up to the regular schedule on the streams. And with that, yeah, just a big thank you to everyone for coming. A big thank you once again to you, Amit, and
Thank you.
have a good one, everyone. And we'll see you next week. Hopefully, sometime next week, I'll be back, depending. All
Bye,
right,
everybody.
bye. Oh, I just they can still hear you if you want. No, they can't.